So having seen some of the introductory stuff within the first video, I'll straight away jump into the code now and launch the Django project. So the best way to do this is follow the instructions which are given at Heroku. So and there's one more which is there, which is yeah. So this is what we will refer to, and of course the Python Anywhere one is quite simple, so that I can take I can take up later on also, or might not be required even. So what we'll do is so what do we have? We have an existing Python app. Yes, we do. Python installed locally. Yes. Setup tools, pip, virtual environment all installed. Okay, fine. So just for formality's sake, let me once go in here and let me do a control C and let me do pip install upgrade pip, if I remember it correctly. It is not this. So I think I'm missing a hyphen or something somewhere. Let me just check for that, and I'll yeah, upgrade pip. Okay. Linux ARM. Okay. So yeah, of course we're missing a hyphen before the upgrade. So let's try both. Does this work? Or if I remember, it used to be probably no. Okay. So which means this is probably correct. So it says requirement already up to date, pip in home, Dhanka, Anaconda 2 environments. So it's already there. So it does not require an upgrade. And so what I'll do is I'll do a pip freeze. So a pip freeze will basically show us what all is installed in this virtual environment. So it says Beautiful Soup is there, Cloudinary is there, and if I were to do pip freeze and if I were to do this, so let's see, did I actually get a file test.txt over here, and I basically if I remember the word correctly, I have piped the output from my command from my console to this particular file, and what I get to see over here is the same which is here, right? So these things are already, these packages are already installed in my virtual environment, and I need not install them again. It will it is not showing me pip over here, right? Because that is external to my virtual environment, and is basically an Anaconda thing which is being managed by the Conda manager, so I need not bother about that. Django I see over here is 1.10.6, which is okay. So, and there is Beautiful Soup and all these things are there. Perfectly fine. So what I'll do is I'll just close this file. I need not bother about any of this right now. And I'll what I want to do is I want to show you as to how do we start a new project. So how do we uh, so this is for in case so okay, so we'll start here. So set up a virtual environment. We've already set up a virtual environment. Now if I were not to have set up a virtual environment, what I could have done is, and this is okay, the requirements.txt. What I could have done is I again create a virtual environment, and within which I go ahead and install my Django and install all of these other packages which I require. So Python conda create a virtual environment. So the first one is create an environment. So it says conda create name and then snowflakes. Okay, so I'll just copy this bit from here. I don't want snowflakes, so what I'll do is I'll first source deactivate. So now I'm not inside a virtual environment, I'm just inside this folder, so info root and info projects, and I paste over here snowflakes. So snowflakes is not what I want. I'll call it pi 27 train. Okay, so that is what I want. So conda create name this, and now it will go ahead and create a virtual environment. So I'll interrupt that in the middle because I don't want to download all the things that get downloaded while creating a virtual environment. I don't want to do that. So I'll just stop over here. So proceed, and sorry, okay, I could have said no also. Okay, any which ways, so that worked out. So now what I need to do next is again activate my virtual environment. I've already shown you that it has got everything that I require for this particular project, and that's it. Source activate done, and I just now my first basic command would be python manage.py run server in case my project was already created. But my project is as of now not created is what I'll pretend, even though it's done. But just to make sure I'm doing this properly, I will go to this particular Django tutorial, which is Django Girls. This is one of the best tutorials which is there out there for beginners, and I will go ahead and create a project first. So installation and all we've done. All this I'm not getting into. Okay, Django installation also I'll just so the virtual environment bit we've already done, and okay, so this is the upgrade pip that I was looking at. Okay, this is what I remembered, but it's slightly different. So next is my virtual environment, correcting Django. Okay, fine, all of this is not required, I've already done that. So we come down here, first Django project. So this is done, it's already activated. Okay, now this is the first one. It says Django admin. So Django is installed, we made sure of that, and then we go ahead and do Django admin start project my site space and then a period. So in my case this would be something like that I've gone ahead and I got my virtual environment. I am inside my project folder, and I've gone ahead and uh, got access to the Django admin, and I say Django admin start project. It would be info proj. So this info proj, or this folder which I am in is what I would start off with, but I'm not going to do this because I already have it done. And if I were to go ahead and enter, probably it will throw up an error, so I don't want to mess it up, because this is code that I need to again reuse and deploy. So this is what you need to do. So once you're done with this, then the next step would be to go to your project folder and basically go ahead and check whether all of this is uh, whether this tree structure has been created, yes or no. So okay, so let's do that. And to see the tree structure, we can see it over here in the folder. So I have my manage.py, I have my project, my application infobot, and this is another application which I added on later, which is Django XL. So it's not basically an application; it's a package itself which I have incorporated into this particular project. And then of course static in pro, which is static files folder within the project directory. So all of this I'll explain later. And then of course ghost driver.log for basically I don't remember which one this is, whether it is Phantom.js or one of those has left a log behind, but we probably won't need this. I'll explain what that is. And of course the proc file, which has got to do with Heroku and not necessarily with Django. Requirements.txt also, which has got to do with Heroku, and the test.txt, which we just created. In a similar manner we create the requirements.txt. So but we'll do that when the Heroku guy is still, so I'll again come back to that. So I'll delete this one file, this is not required at all. And when I get into my infobot, that is my, say when I get into my proj, this thing, my folder, what I see is I get to see these settings, a folder which I created later on. So this is not necessarily mandatory. So what we'll have is we'll have the settings.py, and wherever we see a .pyc, a .pyc file, so that means that I have run some I have already executed the Django code, which has again gone ahead and created this binary file. So this is not a file which I can read, or I'm actually not supposed to. I'm not sure if I can. I've never done that. So these files will just exist as and when you execute code. So when I go ahead and look at the same, folder over here, I don't see those .pyc files, because my Jupyter will not read them, and those are not required to be messed around with, so to say. In certain circumstances wherein you really want to fix things which have gone extremely bad and you want to roll back something on your development environment, sometimes you will have to delete those files and do that, but that's not recommended practice. So that is just trying to hack your own project, which is not okay. So any which ways, coming back to okay, so now the next step as recommended over here on the Django girls is that okay, you've gone ahead and checked up everything over here is fine. Then, so like it says, the manage.py is a script that helps with management of the site. With it, we will be able to, amongst other things, to start a web server on our computer without installing anything else. So this manage.py, the moment it is created by Django, you can go ahead and launch the server. Because you have not done any other changes, and the okay, so there is configuration of the file over here in settings.py. Then the urls.py which exist, they exist at two different levels, one at the project level and one at the application level. So there is interlinkage between these two files, and I'll explain that later on as we. So it should suffice to understand as of now that the manage.py, the settings.py and the urls.py are there, and when we launch our project, so you will see a welcome page, a Django welcome page. So because I have not done that, so let me probably Google that for you. Okay. Yeah, right. I believe over here they might show us a screenshot, so I'm not sure. So that is what probably you will get to see. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. Yeah, it worked. So yeah, this is exactly what it looks like. Congratulations on your first Django powered page, and yes. Okay, so when you run this particular command here, you will see that welcome page when you go to the local host. Now, what is the local host? The local host is this HTTP address which is there, which is HTTP 127.0.0.1 and then 8000. If I were not to run this on 8000, I could change the last figures for some reason, whatever. There are different reasons for doing that actually. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it says, okay, so that port is already in use. Where is it in use? It's in use on my local host for my Jupyter notebooks. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll say 9 over there, and then it should run. Yeah, so it's running. So now what I'll do is I'll go to my local host over here, and because my application is already running, it will give me a different view altogether. I'll have to go and change this to 889, and there I have infobot. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll close this. I don't require. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll keep this open. Pip I can close. This I'll keep open. Perfect. So this is where my local host has launched my Django project. Now coming back, rather staying on this over here. Now changing settings. So the settings.py is the first file we need to look into and see as to what all is there. Now it says old main settings.py, so I'll just straight away go ahead and open this. In your case it would just be settings.py. So let me explain to whatever extent I can quickly as to what is happening here. So base dir, this is the base directory. So the base directory is a certain file which is there, and then you have the operating system's absolute path, and then there are two directories above it. So that basically becomes the base directory. So that is one. Sometimes it can be slightly tricky, but as we practice couple of times, we should be able to figure it out. Okay, then of course security warning is there that do not use the secret key, but I've seen mostly everybody just puts this entire thing as such in production, and nobody seems to be bothered about hiding it. Okay, debug true. Now in production, of course, this debug has to be false. I still have debug true, and in production also I have debug true. Reason is because I keep on changing things in the production code, and then if I keep it as debug false, I will have to keep on going through the Heroku logs, or keep on monitoring the Heroku logs to try and understand as to what the error is. And sometimes I don't have time to do that, so I just keep it as debug true. But of course, if I keep it as debug true, absolutely anybody can go through my code. That is also one possibility, but that is okay, so I don't necessarily bother. So allowed host is absolutely everything over here. Otherwise, what can be done is you can specify as to which hosts or which particular services are allowed. So in case of, say, in case of Python anywhere, we sometimes specify, and there are certain other instances wherein we will specify. I'll come to that later on. And okay, provider for registry instance. So this again I'll come back to later on. Okay, so Cloudinary, why I have got Cloudinary over here, and I will just quickly go down where I don't want to expose my API key and other things. Those are secret. Why I have Cloudinary here is because I am pulling some URLs from certain websites, and I have only the URLs in my database online. I do not have the images. So the images are getting rendered through Cloudinary. So that is what is happening. Okay, so installed apps. What exactly is this installed apps? These come in basically bundled in with Django. So when it says Django contrib admin auth, admin is basically the admin application which is there. Auth is for authorizing users, content type, sessions, messages, static files, static file management. So we'll come to all of this, but this is basically what I said. Batteries included Django web framework. So this is what it is. Okay, now Crispy Forms has is got to do with forms and buttons and other things from the UI point of view. Then registration and Django filters, we will use them later, is what I have commented over here, so we won't bother. L pagination is basically again external app which has been included, which has been specifically created for use with Django, wherein you can have different pagination for a particular output that is coming out of a database. That is one. And okay, and of course our application which we will call Infobot for this particular project. Okay, now having seen this, and I stop over here, I do not go further, I go one level above in my directory structure, and I see over here I have Infobot. So this Infobot I open up, and I also have Django XL, and I am using Django XL, but you don't see Django XL listed over here anywhere. Why? Because I have imported it as a package. I have not included it as an application. So over here, down here, the very next this thing, I say file upload handlers, and there I have Django XL. And Django XL is again, it's a project, it's an open source project available on GitHub, which helps you to download basically Excel sheets and CSV files and all kinds of human readable formats of structured data from your database. So I've tried it with Postgres, I've tried it with SQLite. I'm not sure if it works with MongoDB and others on JSON data, whether it converts that into CSVs and Excels. I'm not very sure, I haven't checked on that. But yes, it works perfectly fine with SQLite and Postgres. So thumbs up for this one, yeah. Okay, so here is the Infobot, the application which we have created. Now, as far as you are concerned, you have not really created an application till now. You've just gone ahead and created a project. And when you say run server, you just get to see the settings.py file. So at this point in time, you need to create an application. So how do you create an application? We again go back to that. Okay, so settings.py, and you scroll down. Okay, you fix the time zone in case you want to. Yes, in this particular case, I did fix the time zone, it was required. Otherwise, usually you can just leave it to the default, whatever is there. It doesn't necessarily stop your app from working. And of course, yes, like so I said, like on Python Anywhere, you might want to specify allowed hosts. Not necessary. You can leave that asterisk also, which means absolutely anything is allowed. So you can port the same code from say Python Anywhere to say Heroku to your local development server. You can keep on doing that. Now this one, of course, if we were installing it straight away on Python Anywhere, we could have gone ahead and made this change, but we leave that for now. Okay, and set up a database. So by default, this SQLite bit would be included with Django. So you would see this in your settings.py file. I've gone ahead and changed mine to Postgres. If I remember correctly, this very file I have gone ahead and changed it to Postgres, or yeah. So I just commented that out, the actual SQLite one, and I have gone ahead and changed this to Postgres. And yeah, should I don't think so. I should be exposing my my password and other things in this manner, but it's okay, whatever. So I've gone ahead and changed it here. Now so once we have made these changes, they are recommending that we go ahead and do a migration. One second, I need to check. Not what stage do we create the app, because we can do the migration. The migration is by doing an initial migration. So this is what it is over here. So python manage.py migrate is the command. By doing an initial migration, what we will achieve is that our database will be set up, or rather our tables within the database. But database is already there. The SQLite is already provisioned for you as a default database. But along with the once we run the migrate, the tables will be created, which are as of now at the initial stage, because you've not gone ahead and created any models of your own, are for whatever are the default of Django. But when I run this, nothing much will happen, is what I presume, if I remember correctly, because so it is saying no migrations to apply. Okay, and it also says one blank date from views.py. Basically what is happening is, the moment I run migrate, not only does it go through my settings, it also goes through my views.py and my models.py and few other files within the project, and code over there gets executed. So whenever my views.py gets executed, this date comes out. So because I've gone ahead and put some code in there which is not necessarily required for you. So I'll explain the reason for that, why I've done that later on. Okay. So it says no migrations to apply. So if you had migrations, then your admin, and as in your initial migrations, your admin, your auth, your content types, whatever application name you have given to the application that you've created, if you created an application by then, and your sessions would get migrated. In the sense, those would run, and accordingly you would see. Okay, something you would see something within your database. So how to see something within your database? So there's two ways of doing this. Inspect db is one. Okay, so I've got lots of things over here because I've got so many models. So I've got infobot variation model, infobot. So whatever is this, where it says class infobot, right? So it is showing us class infobot. And let me skip all of this. Let me just go right to the top, because right to the top of this particular output which comes out is are the default models, and are the default what you call the tables which have been created. Okay, so let's see what is this. So this is the auth group, because it says class, so it's a Python class basically. What is it? It's the auth group. What kind of a class is it? It's a models.model, and the name is okay, so sorry, so within which it has got a field by the name of name, which is a character field, which is supposed to be unique is equal to true. So which means you cannot have two names which are similar, and maximum length given is 80. So that character field has to have a maximum length of 80. And of course the information in the meta class which has been given below is it managed by the user, or is it managed by Django? So managed equal to false means it's managed by Django, and the user need not do anything over here, which means that the tables which are created in response to this particular model which has been created, presume it's a user created model, then the tables created would be managed automatically by Django. You need not do much over here. And then the database table, what is the database table actually named? It is called auth group, auth underscore group. So it's almost like a slug for the class name. So usually that is what it is. So if the class name is AUTH group with A and G capital, you'll have AUTH, the first word created with that, and the second word by the second capitalized letter, and an underscore between that. So that is the slug notation, so to say. So and like that you have permissions, you have these other models. So all of this is created by default, and on top it says also over here that this is an auto-generated Django model module. You'll have to do the following manually to clean this up. So in case we were to use fixtures, or in case we were to use few other techniques which are there. So fixtures comes to my mind first, because I have used that extensively. Fixtures are basically, you go ahead and create a model after you have created or rather after you have populated the database with some dummy data, or with some initial data, or with some legacy data. Presume you are migrating from one framework to the other, or something to that effect, and you want to go ahead and create fixtures. So that is one thing you can do. So make sure each model has one field with primary key equal to true. Make sure each foreign key has one delete set to desired behavior. So on delete. So what happens when a foreign key does not have on delete set to desired behavior is that a certain thing on a certain model where there is a foreign key connection will get deleted, whereas this one does not get deleted. So there can be challenges. So remove managed equal to fall line if you wish to allow Django to create, modify, and delete the table. Okay. Sorry. So what I was saying earlier was, so if managed equal to false is removed, which means if managed is equal to true, then Django will create, modify, and delete the table, which means the control is taken out of the user's hands, which means it gets delinked by your creation and deletion of the model, of the interlinked model. Now presume there is managed equal to false, which is the default behavior, and I go ahead and delete the model from my models.py and I run migrations. So automatically whatever is there linked to that particular model within the database would also get deleted. Okay, so feel free to rename the models, but don't rename the DB table values or field names. So we can't go ahead and change this DB table from auth group to say auth groups or authorized groups. We can't do that because the database table names will not change. We can change the model name. So we can go ahead and call it class auth groups or authorized group, whatever. Okay. Fine. So this is an initial introduction to what InspectDB does. And down here you see, so wherever it starts off with infobot, it says infobot category, infobot product, amaze, and all of this. This is basically tables which have been created because I have gone ahead and created models to that effect within my models.py file. So the next what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create models. So we've gone ahead and done our initial migrations, and we've already seen how to start the web server. I've already shown you as to how you can go ahead and change this in case you want. Otherwise the default also serves okay. Once this is done, we go ahead and start creating our models. So what exactly are Django models, and what will how will they basically help us? So Django models are the core of the Django web application and the framework. So it's models and views which basically make Django applications the applications. Otherwise they would be static websites. So this is the basic difference between a web application and a website. So Django is not a website framework. So it's very difficult to try and explain to people what is the difference between a website and a web application. So that, of course, over a period of time, once you start doing this, you'll understand. But this is where the basic difference lies. Okay. So what we want to create now is something that will store all the posts in our blog, but to be able to do that, we need to talk a little bit about things called objects. So basically objects is what are the database representation of models or instances of a model. So there is a concept in programming called object-oriented programming. The idea is that instead of writing everything as a boring sequence of programming instructions, we can model things and define how they interact with each other. So what is an object? It's a collection of properties and actions. It sounds weird, but we will give you an example. If we want to model a cat, we will create an object cat that has some properties such as color, age, mood, it's a sleepy cat, or it's a bad cat, or it's a good cat, and an owner. So let me take a common example, the example of an employee. So usually what happens is that employees within organizations, and let me Yeah. So employees within organizations have departments, they have certain roles to play, they have certain designations, uh, they have certain pay grades, etc. So basically, if we were to create an employee model, the objects would be what kind of a department employee is in, what kind of a role is the employee playing, what is the designation of the employee, is he a manager, assistant manager, a vice president in the organization, what pay grade is the employee at, is he at say a pay grade say A4, A5, A6. There's whole kind of definitions that we have. So how do we basically create those representations of those external objects of the world uh, in a database? If I were to take the example of a spreadsheet, if I were to take the example of a spreadsheet and equate that to a table of objects which is linked to my model, or which is a representation of my model. And where are my models, or where are my models supposed to be? They're supposed to be in my models.py file. Okay, and where is this models.py file supposed to be? So this models.py file is supposed to be inside each and every application of mine. So by default they would get created, the models.py files, but whether I go ahead and create models in them, yes, no, that's entirely up to me. There are certain applications which will run without a models.py file having anything in them, like Facebook chatbot that you create in Django and you host on Heroku, which I will show you as one of the educational projects later on, need not necessarily have any models inside the models.py file.